Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to round number 6. This is the last and final round of my April 2026 chess tournament. This is going to be the last recap video. Very exciting. So, as I said at the end of the round 5, 4, and 5 video, I said that I will tell you the stakes going into this very last round. So, currently, I am sitting at 3.5 points out of 5, and there are 6 games. So, technically, if I win this game, I get 4.5 out of 6 points, which in normal tournament circumstances is a very high placement, and this tournament is no different. So the thing is here when we go into this final round is that there are a couple of people with 4 points. I have 3.5, and obviously the group leader has 4.5 points. So he's 1 point ahead of me. Obviously, I can't catch up with him. But the thing is, in this tournament, they reward people who place first, second, third, and fourth. So there is a chance of me possibly getting third or fourth, depending on how the pairings go, and of course also depending on how I perform in this very last game. So it's very exciting because I've not won anything too significant in a few years now, and you guys don't know my old tournaments because I never made recaps about it. But let's just say I have a lot of hope going into this round, and let's just see how it goes. So here we go. So you guys might be wondering, Lander, did you have white in round 4 and 5? And the answer is yes. I had the white pieces in game 4, game 5, and now game 6. So essentially, in this tournament, I got 4 games with the white pieces and only 2 games with the black pieces. Now, this means that it's good for me because I can easily win because statistically you have a better advantage playing with white, as you guys may know. But for the tiebreak points, if you have more white games than black games, then if every tiebreak score is the same, they might consider the fact that how many black games you have. And if you have fewer black games, you will place lower in the leaderboard, which might hurt me. So I did think about that, but I did not let it get to me too much. So obviously I import the game from the sheets that I showed you in the last video. And now let's begin. So you guys already know I begin with e4. My opponent responds with e5, which makes me really happy. It's round 2 all over again, but this time I'm not going to lose on a Vienna. So I played knight c3, and my opponent made a very interesting second move, which is bishop to c5. Now, bishop to c5 is interesting because as you guys may know, the bishop is a diagonal moving piece and it defends diagonally. So this pawn is no longer defended on move 2, which it's nothing bad. Like, my opponent can play like that. It's not a big problem. But now already he has a target. So one of the lines that I learned in the Vienna is this. It's not necessarily a trap, but it's an annoying way to play, and inexperienced players might make mistakes in this kind of situation. So essentially, I played queen to g4. So you know, like in normal chess games, you would say, "Oh, don't bring your queen out too early. You might get trapped. You might get pushed around." But this time, this is a calculated decision, and this is also a line that I played hundreds of times before. So I know this like the back of my hand. The Vienna is my bread and butter. You know that jazz. So I played queen g4, attacking this weak g7 pawn, and he goes queen to f6. This is a logical move. The engine says knight f6 is better, just giving this up, which is true. He should do that, but a human who doesn't know this line and someone who doesn't calculate that much in the opening, then you would never play knight f6. You would just rather defend this or play g6. This is a two more human moves. If you play g6, then we just have a game. I slap my queen back and I try to go for this pawn and I develop normally. Except now I have a queen here, so I have more attacking possibilities in the future. But enough that my opponent plays queen f6. This is one of the lines where he can defend this, and if I'm not paying attention, I can get mated. It's pretty interesting, huh? So the bishop and the queen is now staring at my f2 pawn. So naturally, I had to block the view from the queen to the pawn by going knight to f3. So this is all very simple, all theory, and in fact, this fourth move that I made, it's also kind of poisonous, even though it looks completely normal. It just defends me from getting mated. It also it also means that my queen is still here, right? So a lot of people here actually goes queen back to g3, defending this pawn, which is completely reasonable. There's nothing wrong with it. But the thing is, playing queen to g3 it's just too safe. But I played this, which is a good move, but it means that my opponent, with this bishop, can move this pawn and see my queen. And a lot of people that I played with online and over the board, they saw this and they took the opportunity and moved the D pawn. Now, it's not what happened in the game. Fortunately, my opponent was smarter than that because this is a complete blunder. So the bishop, even though it looks at the queen, it's not defended, and the queen just take the bishop. And now I'm up a bishop, and I'm going to force my opponent to move his king on move number 5, which is just miraculous, if you will. So it's interesting, but my opponent did not fall for this trap. Unfortunately, he just played very normal. He plays knight to h6, which saying normal was kind of an exaggeration at this point because knight to h6 obviously this forces my queen to move back, but the knight is just not supposed to be there. Like being here is much better. Like g6, c6, like all these lines are good. Knight e7, like I said. So it goes knight h6. The knight is just very much misplaced, and I just move the queen back to g3 because that's like the only good square that I can go to. h5 is fine too, but I don't want to trade queens. That would make me lose the advantage. So I went back here. And my opponent goes knight to c6. This is another big blunder. You can see the eval bar like screaming at my opponent, like, what the hell are you doing? And the reason for that is that the queen is here and the knight can just move here and attack the queen. Now, that's not the only thing the knight is attacking. The knight is also attacking the c7 pawn, which if it takes it, it forks the king and the rook, and I'm going to win a rook as well. So the logical thing here for my opponent to do was to prevent my knight from getting into d5 by playing something like c6 or bishop to d6. Don't Yeah, bishop d6 defends this. I guess that works too, but he should have played c6 to prevent my knight. Instead, he didn't do that. He plays knight c6. So I immediately jump at the chance of attacking his queen. This has all been played before, by the way. Even this blunder of knight to h6, this has all been played before. I didn't remember the line specifically during the game, but I knew, like, when I make this recap, I know that I've had this line many times before. So now I attack his queen, and he has some difficult choices, if you will. If he goes here to avoid the knight, then I just take this and win his free rook. If he goes here to defend this, then I win this pawn and possibly win this rook and this knight. So which one does my opponent choose? This one is actually safer because I don't get to break his structure. Instead, he goes for queen to d6, defending this, and that lets me take on g7. I'm forking his rook and his knight. He moves the rook here. Now, don't think that this is a free rook. It's not, because the knight is defending the rook and the queen is defending the knight. And I don't have enough time to move stuff here just yet. But I still have a lot of play because my knight is here, even though it cannot take this. You should do one thing very important in chess, like Gotham Chess said, and a lot of other chess tutors told you. You should always look for checks. And here, the knight can check the king here, but the knight can also check it here. And here's really a really good check. I did in fact play this in the game, so I'm just gonna do that. So the knight checks the king, obviously forks the rook, so I'm going to win the rook. The queen can't take because this queen is defending the knight, even though it's being attacked by the rook, because it's check. So he has to address the king first. He moves the king to e7. He can move his king here, obviously, but it's kind of the same, realistically. He moves us here. I take this rook. He takes my knight, and I take his knight. So I'm up a rook on move 10 of the game. Is that just crazy? I'm up a rook and a pawn. on move 10. Like, you just don't find openings like this in at this level of chess. Like the Vienna is it's calm if people play it well, but if you just make a slight inaccuracy in the opening, like all hell can break loose. So it's very nice. I'm a Baroque. I at this point I thought to myself like, oh my God, am I going to win a medal? Like I was really stoked about this, but I know there's still an entire game ahead of me, and my opponent is going to try to cause some shenanigans. So I cannot let my guard down. I still have to play on. Got to checkmate him or something. So the game proceeds. He plays knight d4, trying to do the same thing to me, except I could just take his knight. They took back with the queen. Now the bishop and the queen is staring at the f2 pawn. Now it's not mate, thankfully, but obviously I don't want him to take my pawn. So move my queen back to g3, defending this, but unfortunately defending this relinquishes. I mean, it doesn't even relinquish. This pawn is still not protected, and that's not a good way for me to defend it. So I took this, and I am between the choice of moving the bishop to e2 and moving my king to d1. Now, the the nice thing about moving the bishop here is that I don't have to move my king and I can castle. But if I move the bishop here, he can take this free pawn on c2, and I don't like that. So I just move my king. Move my king to d1, defending c2, and the game proceeds. He plays d6, trying to get his bishop out. I play f3, kicking his queen out, and also simultaneously preventing the bishop from ever going here. His queen slides away. I bring my bishop out of into the game, and now my opponent goes d5, and going d5, this pawn used to protect this pawn, so he goes here. I take this now unprotected pawn, and now he has to block. And of course my bishop is still being attacked, so I address it. And then he moves his bishop here for some reason. Don't know what this is for. Like, is he trying to get his queen in here for something? I just don't understand. Like, or does he want to control this square? Like, it's just a very peculiar move, and it's not one of the best moves here according to the engine. So he goes there. I kick his bishop out. His bishop moves. I I play d4 because I want to bring my bishop out. And he moves his rook over here, trying to take a free pawn. Of course, I see that because usually if you want to do something really nasty, you should calculate a few moves in advance. If you just want to attack something, like, okay, I push this pawn, I push you back, and that he did. I go back to e3. He slices queen over here, trying to get a double attack on my d4 pawn. I, of course, saw that once again. You cannot just make one move threats because I see it. Your opponent is going to see it. You got to make like 5 move threats. That way, when the threat eventually comes, your opponent is unequipped to deal with it. So by c3, very safe move, just defending the d4 pawn, and he moves his king to d1 to unpin this bishop. But the thing is, this bishop, even though it's unpinned, it's pretty much a pawn. Like, the bishop can't go anywhere, and going here doesn't do anything. Going here gets taken, going here, my rook moves, and then what? So it's a pretty bad bishop. And I move my queen in here, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn, just trying to cause some problems. And here, my opponent thought for like 5 minutes out of his 20 allocated minutes and decided that he's going to sack his bishop on d4. I don't know why. I mean, it's not like his position is not bad enough. He just wants to make it worse, which fine by me. But here, obviously, he made me think for a while. Maybe a couple of minutes, not that long, because I know that this sacrifice doesn't do much because he has very little firepower compared to my pieces. So I just took his bishop. I just did not believe in his attack. He took this pawn, and there are a lot of ways to protect my king, but moving here, once again, relinquishes defense of this b2 pawn. So I don't move here. Instead, I bring this back. And now I asked him to trade queens, and of course he says no, because if you're losing, don't trade queens. You need the queens, you need all the pieces on the board so that you can hopefully get a comeback going. So I continue trying to get him to trade queens. He moves his queen away, and here's a sneaky move. Now, because, some people don't see across the board, the queen is attacking the rook, and the rook is not defended. I move the rook. The queen slides back once again. I bring my other bishop out finally on move 28, attacking his queen, getting a tempo. He runs away again. I bring my last piece into the game, and also these two pieces line up an attack on c7. Not that, I mean, I could even sack now. It's completely fine, but I wouldn't want to do that, honestly. Like, so, and he obviously doesn't want me to do that either because he plays c6, and I attack his queen. He slides back, and then I go for his pawns. So if he doesn't want to trade queens with me, that's fine. I'm going to take all your pawns, and then I'm going to force you to trade all the pieces. So he goes here for some reason. This doesn't even begin to make sense because it doesn't defend this at all. He could have moved here instead. But if he moved here, then I could have moved in here and possibly checkmate him in the middle of, not in the middle of the board, but in the middle of the game. So he correctly moved here to prevent this check, but of course he has to give up this pawn. He moves his king back so that I don't check him when I take the b7 pawn, which I'm not going to. Just give him a check. He moves. I move again. I'm trying to go and get in here, give him a check, and then try to figure out some way to checkmate him. He moves his rook here. Don't know what that's for. I mean, like, I was never planning to sack my rook for this terrible bishop. This is like the worst piece in the game. I think it moved here, and then it just didn't move again. I could be wrong, but yeah. I moved my bishop back, attacking his rook. He moves his queen over here, defending his rook against the bishop, which is a very, very peculiar line. But, you know, I give him a check, an in-between move. If he goes here, it's mate. If he goes here, the game goes on. King e8. I give him another check. King e7. And, of course, I could, you know, do queen c7, king f8. Oh my god, this very long line that checkmates him in 8 moves. I'm not going to be able to figure that out. So instead, I just took a free pawn. It's never... A free pawn is never bad, unless it's a poisonous one. So he moves his king. I took his free rook, and he took back. I took another free pawn. Now it's no longer made into whatever, but as you can see, I'm up 12 points of material, and here my opponent played a dynamite strike move, queen to d3, mate, check. You know, I didn't even see this move. That's the thing. That's the funny thing. I didn't even see this move. I think, like, back here, when he moved his queen to g8 to defend the rook, he was planning to go there and mate me. And he did. Except it's not made. Like, I genuinely thought for like 5 seconds that, did I just get mated? Up 12 points of material? And then realized, oh, I have bishop d2. And that was a sigh of relief, because my god, if I had lost this game, I would have never forgotten myself. So that was a bit of a scare. You should probably never have your king in between your rooks like this. This is very dangerous when a queen attacks you. So I block. He gives me a couple of checks, and I eventually block with the bishop. Now he has no checks, and he moves his king. I give him a check. The king goes here, and now I infiltrate queen to h8. He has to go here, check him, and apparently here I missed maiden 1 because I went queen to d8, blocks with the bishop, and take. But if you guys didn't see the line on the engine, I could actually go here, queen e5, protecting the rook through the king, and this queen is protected by this rook, and the game is over in 1 move instead of 2. But it doesn't matter ultimately. My opponent gracefully played until the very end to get checkmated. Full respect to him, by the way. Thank you so much for playing, and that's a wrap for the tournament. I ended up the tournament with 4.5 points out of 6. There were a few games still going, especially some of the board 1, board 2 stuff. The person who beat me on round 2 went on to win the entire tournament with, I believe, no losses. I think he had 5.5 points out of 6, which is a very impressive record. Congratulations to you, even though you're very smug. But the point is, I can also proudly say that my only loss in a tournament was to the winner. So once again, congratulations to that guy and me. So now, You guys might wonder, what placement did I get? Because I did hype you guys up at the start of the video that I can get a prize. So it goes as follows. So the guy who beat me got first. He beat the guy on board one really fast. I was in the opening stage of the game and he already beat that guy. So very impressive stuff. And there were like two or three other games of people who had 4 points, and they played, and some people won, some people drew, and there were two other people with second and third place with 5 points, so they lost one game or they drew two. And then there's me. I placed fourth. I was tied on 4.5 points with one other person. That person was, in fact, the person who lost to my second round opponent on board one. I think he got into like an opening trap or something, and he apparently his tiebreaker score is lower because on round number five, um, his opponent failed to show up, and that like kind of tanked his tiebreaker. So his tiebreaker is about 2 points lower than mine, and that placed me at fourth place. And I got a medal, got a trophy, and stuff. This were all very nice. But yeah, I'm not planning to play any chess tournaments again very soon because it is very stressful, and the weather was not very good. But it was fun nonetheless. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.